Hello, everybody. My name is Rebecca Sayanis, and I'm a fourth year anthropology major, and I'll be presenting on caffeine consumption and mental health in college students. So, the demographics of the site are going to consist of college students who drink caffeinated beverages, which include coffee, tea, and energy drinks. And this age range mostly constitutes of ages 18 through 24. A little bit of the history. Humans have been using plants containing caffeine since the Stone Age, particularly in cola nuts, coffee beans, tea leaves, and a little bit of cocoa beans. These plants were associated with mood elevation, increased awareness, and reduction of fatigue. And nowadays, it is the most widely used stimulant worldwide and mankind's most popular drug. Nowadays, caffeine-containing beverages such as coffee, tea, cocoa, soft drinks, and energy drinks have become very popular due to their stimulant effects. Little history of the population. So, caffeine beverages are very popular among college students, with about 90% of students consuming at least one such drink per year. Most of the caffeinated beverages consumed by students are coffee and tea, though there are some that also consume energy drinks. Students have varying reasons for consuming caffeinated beverages, including wanting to feel more alert, enjoying the taste, socializing with friends and family, improving concentration, increasing physical energy, improving mood, and alleviating stress. Uh, I want to bring in my own perspective into this. So as a researcher, it's essential that I acknowledge my own experiences and how they influence what I see. I personally drink caffeinated beverages occasionally, usually like tea, mostly for enjoyment or socializing with friends and family, as mentioned by Bahani et al. Um, if I if I didn't get good sleep that day, then I would do drink coffee, but it's rare. So I need to consider these experiences when evaluating others who drink caffeinated beverages and acknowledge my own biases and influence in the presence of my community. Here's a bit of the archival data. Politically, in the US, caffeine and caffeine containing ingredients don't have to be labeled on food products or dietary supplements. For food products, while the FDA requires that ingredients and nutrients be labeled on food, like the ingredient list, caffeine is not considered a nutrient. Therefore, the FDA doesn't require that the amount of natural or artificial caffeine needs to be labeled. As for dietary supplements, which consider like energy drinks, only the amount of caffeine used in the ingredient in the supplement needs to be disclosed. While the FDA is concerned about the use of caffeine as an ingredient in food, they haven't really proposed any new regulatory changes since the 1980s. Economically, the coffee industry and trading are very complex. Since coffee is traded through various countries, it's monitored through the Intercontinental Exchange, which operates the commodities exchange and regulates the future of coffee trading. They set the price called Coffee C, which basically determines like the contracts in the coffee industry and like the price of the coffee that will be sold. And culturally, coffee and other caffeinated beverages have become very prevalent in American culture since the 1960s. Uh, Coffee is now tailored to the individual's preference, so if you want certain things in your coffee, and additionally, like coffee shops such as Starbucks and Peet's Coffee, they're designed to allow for more seating room, which facilitates social interaction, especially among college students. So ultimately, what I noticed, caffeine consumption isn't regulated, and rather it's more encouraged, whether to keep us awake and help us maintain focus or socialize with others. And this is especially true for college students, since, like I mentioned, 90% consume caffeine in some sort of drink. Additionally, consuming caffeine has been shown to elevate moods and serves as a coping strategy for stress, which makes it like a more acceptable drug. However, at large doses, caffeine does cause an increase in anxiety and tension. Despite these risks, it's still very popular. Throughout my own observations, I've noticed that coffee shops in nearby areas are most populated and lively places on campus. Uh, so grabbing a coffee and team is like a good way to like meet up with friends and just chat with fellow students. And through this, it's also a good way to reduce stress and boost your mood. So for future research, I propose studying how moderate consumption of caffeinated beverages, when taken mindfully, can help students cope with stress, and also how social interactions can affect like consuming caffeinated beverages. Since a lot of what I've noticed is people consume it together. This project would involve collaborations with medical anthropologists, psychologists, and nutritional scientists. Hmm. So there's some possible academic contention and drawbacks. One of the primary areas of academic contention is the health impacts of caffeine consumption. While there are positive effects to consuming caffeine, studies have shown that caffeine intake, especially at large doses, may be correlated with symptoms of anxiety and depression, especially in studies compared to those who, when you compare students who did drink coffee and didn't drink coffee. Additionally, there may be differences in tolerance for caffeine and varying effects for the individual, so there is some contention about potential negative effects. So, some possible research questions that I propose is how do social interactions affect the consumption of caffeinated beverages? And how do students perceive the effect of caffeine on their own mental health? The methods involved would be participant observation, in depth interviews, and food diaries. The participant observation will be helpful to observe how students consume caffeine and with who. Uh, in depth interviews to discuss their emotional connections to the beverages, and food diaries to detail just when they're consuming and their food choices, as well as like the context they're taking it in. These methods can provide insights into students' relationship with caffeine consumption, emotions, and mindfulness. So this project contributes to global studies by examining how social behaviors shape caffeinated beverage consumption, such as socializing with friends and family. This will provide a lens on the viewpoints of food and drink and building community and identity across different cultures. It's essential to understand how social bonds are formed in diverse global communities, especially since these can be a way to promote mental and physical well-being. Okay, so to conclude, caffeine is a very prevalent part of college students' mental health and their daily lives. While too much caffeine can lead to increased anxiety and depression, in moderation, caffeine beverages can help students cope with stress and elevate their mood. Additionally, it can be a mechanism to socialize with others, which can also help with anxiety and mood. And here are my references. And thank you for listening.